There comes a point in life when you realize the person you've become isn't who you were meant to be. You've built habits that drain you, surrounded yourself with noise, and carried versions of yourself that no longer fit. This audiobook is not about small improvements. It's about destruction and rebirth. It's about burning the old you down, your fears, your laziness, your excuses, and starting again from zero. If you've ever looked in the mirror and felt stuck, this is for you, because rebuilding doesn't start with motivation. It starts with honesty. It starts when you decide to destroy everything fake inside you and rebuild with purpose. So take a deep breath, clear your mind, and get ready to face yourself. This journey won't be easy, but it will change you forever. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe to this channel so you never miss the next step of your transformation. Chapter 1. Burn the past. Every change begins with fire. Not the kind that destroys everything around you, but the kind that clears away what no longer serves you. To rebuild yourself, you must first burn the past, not out of hate, but out of necessity. Because the person you used to be, the one full of doubt, excuses, and hesitation, can't survive in the life you're about to build. Think about how many times you've carried your past like a backpack full of rocks, every mistake, every regret, every bad memory you never let go of. It all weighs you down. You tell yourself you've moved on, but deep down, you still look back. You replay old failures, relive old pain, and keep old labels alive. You can't start a new chapter when you keep rereading the last one. Burning the past doesn't mean forgetting it. It means accepting it, learning from it, and letting it go. It's standing in front of your memories and saying, "You don't define me anymore." It's freeing yourself from the stories that no longer fit who you are becoming. You're not the person who failed. You're the person who learned. You're not the person who got hurt. You're the one who healed. The old you had to go through pain to teach the new you how to rise. Most people never rebuild because they're scared to let go of their identity. Even if it's painful, it's familiar. They cling to it because it feels safe. But growth doesn't happen in safety. It happens in fire. You have to be willing to stand in the heat of your own transformation. That means facing your truth, every wrong choice, every wasted year, every lie you told yourself, and burning it down to ash. Only then can something new grow. You can't pour clean water into a dirty glass and expect it to stay pure. The same is true for your mind. You can't fill it with new beliefs while holding on to old ones that poison you. So burn the beliefs that say you're not enough. Burn the thoughts that whisper you'll never change. Burn the guilt that keeps you chained to who you were. None of that deserves space in the person you're becoming. You might feel fear in this process. That's normal. The fire of change always scares the one who's comfortable with the past. You'll want to run back to what you know, even if it hurts. But remember, comfort is the cage of the old you. If you want to rebuild from zero, you must be brave enough to stand in the fire until the cage melts away. You'll feel pain, yes, but it's the kind of pain that gives birth to strength. Look at nature. Forests burn so new life can grow. Old trees fall so sunlight can reach the ground again. The fire looks destructive, but it's really making space for renewal. The same is true for you. You can't rebuild until you burn away everything that blocks your light. That's why destruction comes before creation. You have to clear the ground before you build a new foundation. This chapter of your life begins with one honest decision: to stop running from who you were and start taking responsibility for who you will become. The old you made mistakes, yes, but those mistakes gave you lessons. The old you stayed silent, but now you're learning to speak. The old you avoided pain, but now you're ready to face it head on. That's progress. That's evolution. Forgive yourself for the times you fell short. Forgive yourself for the people you hurt when you didn't know better. Forgive yourself for staying small when you had the power to grow. Every past version of you was trying to survive with the tools they had. But now you're different. You're not surviving anymore, you're rebuilding. Burning the past also means removing the voices that keep you trapped there. People who remind you of your failures, who only see you as who you used to be. They can't walk with you anymore. Not because they're bad, but because their version of you no longer exists. Don't try to explain your growth to people committed to misunderstanding you. Just walk away quietly and let your silence speak. You have to clean your mental space. Delete the old thoughts. Let go of the guilt. Let go of the what-ifs. They don't belong here anymore. Every morning you wake up, you get a chance to start over. Don't waste it by dragging yesterday into today. Your past was a lesson, not a life sentence. The world doesn't care who you were. It only responds to who you decide to become now. When you burn the past, you begin to understand yourself differently. You start to see that your failures were not the end, they were the foundation. Every time you fell, you built a new layer of wisdom. Every heartbreak taught you self-respect. Every disappointment taught you patience. Every ending was secretly a new beginning waiting for your courage to arrive. The destruction of the old you is not an act of hate. It's an act of love. It's the highest form of self-respect to say, I will no longer live small for the comfort of my past. You're not betraying who you were. You're honoring who you're becoming. You're taking everything that once hurt you and turning it into fuel for your rebirth. But remember, burning the past isn't always loud or dramatic. Sometimes it's quiet. It's deleting a phone number that no longer brings peace. It's stopping the habit that numbs your pain. It's sitting in silence and forgiving yourself instead of blaming yourself. It's realizing you don't have to prove anything to anyone anymore. These small acts of release are what rebuild you from zero. At some point you'll look back and see that the fire didn't destroy you. It revealed you. It burned away everything false and left behind only what was real. The old you was built on fear, approval, and survival. The new you will be built on courage, clarity, and purpose. You'll stop chasing things that don't matter and start building a life that feels like truth. There's no magic formula for transformation. You just have to decide. One choice, one moment, one act of bravery can change everything. The past doesn't deserve to control your future. The person you used to be has already served their purpose. Thank them, release them, and step into who you're meant to be. That's how you rebuild from zero, from truth, from fire. Close your eyes for a moment. Picture your old self standing in front of you. See the version that doubted, that feared, that gave up too early. Now imagine setting that version free. Watch the fire burn, not with anger, but with peace. That's you saying goodbye. That's you creating space for something new. That's you beginning again. From this point forward, the past no longer owns you. You've taken the first step. The destruction has begun. What comes next is rebuilding, but this time it's on your terms. The fire behind you is gone, and the light ahead of you is waiting. You're no longer the person you were yesterday. You are the architect of the person you're becoming. This is where transformation begins, not in noise, not in fear, but in silence and courage. You've burned the past. Now you're free to build something stronger, something truer, something real. The old you is gone. The new you is rising from zero. Chapter 2. Rebuild from nothing. After the fire, there is silence. It's the moment when everything feels empty. The noise is gone. The distractions are gone. The old identity is gone. You stand in the middle of nothing, and it's terrifying. Most people run back to the past at this point because nothingness feels like failure, but that's not true. This emptiness is not the end. It's the beginning. It's the clean slate you've been asking for. Rebuilding from zero is the hardest part of transformation because there's no roadmap. You've destroyed who you were, but who you're becoming hasn't fully formed yet. You feel lost, uncertain, and alone. That's normal. Growth always feels like confusion before it feels like clarity. You have to trust that the chaos is part of creation. You have to trust yourself enough to build again, even when you don't know where to start. When everything is gone, what's left is truth. No fake labels, no borrowed beliefs, no voices telling you who to be. Just you, raw, honest and real. That's where rebuilding begins. It's not about adding things to your life. It's about building a foundation strong enough to hold the person you want to become. And that foundation starts inside you. The first step to rebuilding is acceptance. You have to accept that the past is over and that you're here now, standing in the middle of your own life with the power to shape it. Stop saying you're broken. You're not broken. You're rebuilding. There's a difference. Broken means it's over. Rebuilding means it's beginning. You have to shift your language from loss to creation. Every time you tell yourself, I'm starting over, remind yourself that's a gift, not a punishment. When you rebuild from zero, you learn patience. You stop chasing shortcuts. You stop expecting overnight results. You start valuing small progress, one step at a time. You realize that true strength isn't found in speed, it's found in consistency. Every day, you lay a brick, one by one. Some days the bricks feel heavy. Some days it feels like nothing is working. But if you keep building, one day you'll look up and see a foundation stronger than anything you had before. People will not always understand this phase of your life. They'll wonder why you've become quiet, why you stopped posting, why you seem distant. They won't see that you're busy rebuilding in silence. Let them wonder. They don't need to understand your process. You're not doing this for show. You're doing it for survival. The real work happens when no one's watching. That's how you know it's real. Rebuilding from zero also means rebuilding your habits. The old you had routines that kept you small, waking up late, scrolling mindlessly, talking yourself out of your goals. The new you can't afford that. Every habit is a brick in your new foundation. Start with the small ones, waking up earlier, keeping promises to yourself, finishing what you start. These are quiet victories, but they matter. The future you want is built on the habits you repeat when no one's around. You'll feel lonely sometimes during this phase. That's okay. Loneliness is not a punishment. It's a classroom. It's where you meet yourself. When you sit in silence long enough, you begin to understand what truly matters. You realize you don't need constant attention or validation to feel alive. You just need purpose. Rebuilding from zero gives you that purpose, one piece at a time. Sometimes you'll look around and see others moving faster, achieving more, living loudly. Don't compare your rebuilding stage to someone else's highlight reel. They might be standing on a structure that's already cracking. You're building yours from scratch. It takes longer, but it lasts longer too. You're not behind. You're just building a different way. Quietly, steadily, honestly. You'll also face self-doubt. That voice in your head will whisper, you're not ready, or you're wasting your time. Ignore it. That voice is the echo of your old self trying to pull you back. You're not that person anymore. You've burned the past. You're building something new, and that means your mind will fight you at first. Keep going anyway. The doubt fades as the foundation grows. Rebuilding from nothing also means redefining success. The old you chased validation, likes, compliments, recognition. The new you chases peace. You start realizing that success is not about being seen. It's about being stable. It's about waking up without regret, going to sleep without guilt, and living a day that feels aligned with who you are. That's the kind of success that lasts. In this stage, you'll also learn humility. When you rebuild from zero, there's no ego left. You start small again, and that's humbling. You may have to do things you once thought were beneath you. You may have to admit that you don't know everything. That humility is good. It keeps you grounded. It reminds you that growth isn't about pride. It's about progress. There's beauty in starting over. Most people fear it, but it's actually freedom. You get to choose again. You get to decide who you want to be without the limits of the old story. You get to build with intention this time. That's powerful. When you rebuild from zero, every decision matters, every choice shapes your new life. There's no autopilot anymore. You're fully awake, fully aware. You'll notice that the world starts to respond differently to you. When you rebuild yourself, your energy changes. People sense your focus, your calm, your direction. You attract better things because you become better. That's the silent reward of rebuilding. You don't chase what's yours anymore. You attract it. Some days will be hard. You'll want to quit. You'll wonder if you're making progress at all. But remember, every strong building looks like chaos during construction. The noise, the dust, the broken pieces, they're part of the process. Just because it's messy doesn't mean it's failing. It means it's forming. You're forming. Rebuilding from nothing teaches you gratitude. When you start over, every small win feels big. You appreciate progress because you've seen what it's like to lose everything. You value peace because you've lived through chaos. You stop taking things for granted. Gratitude becomes your fuel. It keeps you going when the work feels endless. You'll also realize that solitude is not loneliness. It's strength. You'll start to enjoy your own company. You'll use your quiet moments to reflect, plan, and dream. The more time you spend with yourself, the more self-respect you build. That's how confidence grows. Not from attention, but from alignment. You'll look in the mirror one day and realize you're proud of the person you're becoming. That's the reward for all the nights you spent rebuilding in silence. The process will test you. It will break your patterns. It will push you beyond comfort. But that's exactly what you asked for. You wanted transformation, not convenience. You wanted rebirth, not comfort. The pain you feel now is proof that you're rebuilding the right way, because if it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you. You'll notice one day that the emptiness you felt at the start has turned into peace. The confusion has turned into clarity. The fear has turned into focus. That's how rebuilding works. It doesn't happen overnight. It sneaks up on you quietly until one morning you realize, I'm not who I used to be. That's when you know the new foundation is set. Rebuilding from zero is not about becoming someone else. It's about becoming yourself, without the weight, without the noise, without the mask. It's about living with honesty and purpose. You'll still make mistakes, but this time you'll handle them differently. You'll stop giving up so easily. You'll stop doubting your worth. You'll trust the process even when it's slow. You'll find strength in simplicity. The things that used to matter, attention, approval, drama, won't interest you anymore. You'll crave peace, growth, and truth. You'll protect your energy because you finally understand its value. You'll become the kind of person who doesn't chase anything but still attracts everything meant for them. That's what rebuilding does. It shapes you into someone unshakable. One day, you'll look back at the version of yourself that started this journey and smile. You'll remember the fear, the confusion, the emptiness, and you'll feel gratitude for it, because that emptiness gave you the space to build something real. The fire that burned your past also lit the path forward. You'll realize that nothing was wasted, not a tear, not a failure, not a day. It all brought you here. You rebuilt yourself from nothing, and in doing so you discovered everything. Chapter 3: Discipline over Motivation. Everyone wants to change their life, but most people wait to feel ready. They wait to feel inspired, to feel motivated, to feel something before they start. But the truth is, motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes like the weather. You can't build your life around a feeling that fades. What actually changes you is discipline. Discipline is what stays when motivation disappears. It's what pushes you forward when your mind says stop. It's what builds your new life, brick by brick, even when you don't feel like it. Motivation is emotion. Discipline is decision. Motivation is loud and exciting. Discipline is quiet and consistent. Motivation gets you started, but discipline keeps you going. The people who rebuild themselves from zero understand this truth. They stop chasing motivation and start creating systems. They don't wait to feel ready. They act first. Feelings come later. There will be mornings when you wake up tired. Days when your mind tells you to rest a little more, skip the work, take it easy. Motivation won't help you then. Motivation sleeps in, but discipline doesn't. Discipline whispers, do it anyway. And that's the voice you must learn to follow, because discipline doesn't care about comfort, it cares about growth. When you rebuild from nothing, your mind is your biggest battlefield. Your old habits will fight to pull you back. They'll say, you've done enough, or you can do it tomorrow. Discipline is the part of you that answers, no, I'll do it now. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you break a piece of your old self. Every time you push through resistance, you build a piece of your new one. Think about the strongest people you know. They're not always the loudest or the most talented. They're the most consistent. They show up on days they don't want to. They keep promises to themselves when no one's watching. That's discipline. It's not glamorous, it's not easy. But it's powerful, because every small act of discipline adds up to something big. That's how transformation happens. Not in bursts of motivation, but in quiet daily effort. Motivation feels good. It gives you a spark, but discipline gives you results. It's the bridge between your goals and your reality. You don't need to feel like it to do it. You just need to decide you will. The moment you make that shift, everything changes. You stop depending on mood and start depending on movement. You start trusting action more than emotion. Discipline is built, not found. It starts small. One small promise at a time. Wake up when you said you would. Finish the task you started. Don't scroll when it's time to work. Every time you follow through, you prove to yourself that your word matters, and that builds confidence, the real kind, the kind that doesn't need applause. Because deep down, you know you can trust yourself. The old you probably quit when things got hard. The new you can't afford that. Discipline means showing up no matter how you feel. It means working even when you're tired, staying focused even when it's boring, and moving forward even when progress feels slow. Because growth doesn't happen in excitement. It happens in repetition. It happens in the 1,000 small moments when no one's cheering, but you keep going anyway. When you rely on motivation, you give your power away to your emotions. But when you build discipline, you take that power back. You learn to control your mind instead of letting it control you. You become the kind of person who acts from commitment, not convenience. And that's what separates the people who dream from the people who achieve. At first, discipline feels uncomfortable. Your mind resists it because it's new. But over time, it becomes who you are. You stop fighting it. You stop thinking about whether you should do something. You just do it. That's the beauty of discipline. It eventually becomes freedom. You no longer need to push yourself. You've trained yourself. You move automatically toward what's right for you. You can't rebuild your life if you only work when you feel inspired. You have to work when you're tired, when you're bored, when you're doubting yourself, because those are the moments that count the most. Anyone can act when it's easy. True change happens when it's hard. That's when discipline shows its power. That's when you prove to yourself that you're serious about this new life. Motivation burns fast. Discipline burns forever. It's not about how high your fire goes. It's about how long it lasts. Every day you show up, even a little, you keep that flame alive. You don't need to run. You just need to keep walking. One step every day beats 1,000 steps once a month. Discipline is the rhythm of progress. It moves slow, but it never stops. There's a peace that comes with discipline. You stop fighting yourself. You stop overthinking. You stop waiting for the perfect time. You simply do what needs to be done. That peace feels different. It's not excitement. It's certainty. It's knowing that you're becoming stronger with every effort. You no longer depend on mood to create movement. You've become your own momentum. Discipline also builds trust with time. When you're consistent, time becomes your ally. You may not see results today, but time multiplies your effort. Every day you stay consistent, time rewards you quietly. It's like planting seeds. You don't see the plant grow immediately, but it's growing beneath the surface. That's how discipline works. It builds invisible progress until one day it becomes visible to everyone. Sometimes discipline means doing the same simple things every day. Waking up early, reading, exercising, working on your craft. It may feel repetitive, but that's how mastery is built. Greatness is not born in passion. It's born in patience. The people who seem unstoppable are just people who stayed consistent when others quit. They didn't wait for motivation. They created motion. Your emotions are temporary, but your actions are permanent. The work you do when you don't feel like it lasts longer than the mood that told you not to. That's why discipline wins every time. Feelings fade. Results stay. There will be people who misunderstand your consistency. They'll say you're too serious, too focused, too obsessed. Let them talk. You're not here to impress them. You're here to rebuild. You've destroyed the old you, the one who needed approval. Now you're building someone unstoppable. Discipline is your weapon. It's your shield against excuses. Every morning is a chance to prove your commitment. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be present. You don't have to feel powerful. You just have to show up. The effort doesn't need to be big. It just needs to be real. Over time, small effort becomes massive transformation. That's how you rebuild from zero, one disciplined act at a time. Discipline also teaches humility. It reminds you that you're not special. You're responsible. Everyone wants success, but few want structure. You can't wish your way to a new life. You have to work for it, even when no one sees you. That quiet work is what separates talkers from builders. You're a builder now. You're rebuilding from zero, and every act of discipline adds another brick to your new foundation. Don't chase the feeling of motivation. Chase the identity of discipline. Become the kind of person who does what needs to be done. Always. That identity will change your life. It will carry you through every setback, every storm, every doubt. Because once you have discipline, you can rebuild anything. When you rebuild from zero, you realize that motivation is a spark, but discipline is the fire that never goes out. It keeps you alive through the dark nights and the quiet mornings. It keeps you grounded when the world distracts you. It keeps you moving when everything inside you wants to quit. That's what rebuilding demands, not excitement, but endurance. At the end of the day, discipline is love. It's choosing your future self over your current comfort. It's saying no to what feels easy and yes to what feels right. It's respecting yourself enough to do what you promised. That's how you build a life you're proud of, not with hype, but with hard work. You've burned your past. You've started from nothing. Now you've learned that the fuel for the new you isn't motivation, it's discipline. Because the person who masters discipline can rebuild anything, anytime, anywhere. Chapter 4. Build habits that build you. Rebuilding yourself isn't about changing everything at once. It's about creating habits that slowly shape the person you want to become. The truth is, your future is hidden in your daily routines. What you do every single day, especially when no one is watching, decides who you will be 6 months from now, 1 year from now, or 10 years from now. You don't become better by accident. You become better by repetition. Habits are powerful because they work in silence. They don't ask for attention. They don't need motivation. They grow quietly until one day they define your entire life. The old you was built by bad habits, scrolling too long, giving up too soon, talking instead of doing. The new you will be built by better ones, showing up, staying consistent, thinking long-term. Every action you repeat writes a line in the story of your life. When you're rebuilding from zero, The first thing you need to do is take control of your habits. Because when you control your habits, you control your life. You can't rely on luck or mood. You can't build your dream life on chaos. You must design it, brick by brick, routine by routine. The person who wins is not the smartest or the luckiest. It's the one who keeps doing the right things daily, even when they don't see results yet. You don't need to start with huge changes. Start small. Small habits are like seeds. At first, they look like nothing, but given time, they grow roots. 1 glass of water instead of soda. 10 pages of reading instead of 10 minutes of scrolling. Waking up 10 minutes earlier instead of hitting snooze again. These tiny choices seem meaningless in the moment, but they build momentum. Every small win builds trust in yourself. And that trust is the foundation of self-discipline. When you repeat a small action every day, your brain begins to see it as normal. That's the secret of habits. They move from effort to instinct. What feels hard at first becomes automatic later. The old you relied on willpower. The new you relies on systems. That's how change lasts. You don't need to fight your old habits forever. You just need to replace them with better ones. Think about it. Your bad habits didn't appear overnight. They were built slowly, through repetition and comfort. So, rebuilding will take time too. You have to be patient with yourself. You're not just changing what you do, you're changing who you are. That doesn't happen in a week. But if you stay consistent, it happens sooner than you think. There will be days when you don't feel like keeping up your habits. You'll be tired, distracted, or discouraged. Those are the most important days to stay disciplined, because those are the days that separate the new you from the old one. The old you gave up when it was inconvenient. The new you keeps going, no matter what. Each time you keep a promise to yourself on a hard day, you're proving that you've changed. It's easy to say you want a new life, but your life is built by what you repeat. You can't say you want peace while feeding chaos. You can't say you want success while repeating failure. You have to align your habits with your goals. If you want to feel healthy, move your body daily. If you want to feel confident, keep your word. If you want to grow, spend time learning every single day. These aren't tasks, they're investments in your future self. When you build habits that build you, life becomes simpler. You don't have to constantly push yourself or make big decisions every day. Your habits start making those decisions for you. They carry you through days when motivation is gone. You wake up and your body already knows what to do. That's real freedom, the kind that comes from structure, not chaos. Many people underestimate how much a single good habit can change their life. One good habit often leads to another. When you start taking care of your body, your mind feels better. When you read daily, you start thinking more clearly. When you plan your day, you waste less time. Small improvements multiply. That's the quiet power of habits. They build each other over time. It's also important to create an environment that supports your new habits. You can't grow in a place that keeps you stuck. If your surroundings tempt you to go backward, change them. Remove distractions. Organize your space. Surround yourself with people who want growth too. The environment you build shapes the person you become. Make it easier to do the right thing and harder to fall into the wrong one. Habits are also about identity. You can't just say, I'm trying to be disciplined. You have to start saying, I am a disciplined person, because when your identity shifts, your habits follow. The goal isn't just to do better, it's to become better. When you believe you're the kind of person who shows up, your actions start matching that belief. You no longer fight against your habits, you align with them. Rebuilding yourself through habits requires patience and forgiveness. You'll mess up sometimes, you'll miss a day or fall back into old patterns. That doesn't mean you failed. Failure only happens when you quit completely. If you miss one day, start again the next. One mistake doesn't erase progress. Consistency isn't about perfection, it's about return. Every time you return, you strengthen your resolve. Habits also protect your mental health. They give your days structure when your mind feels scattered. They remind you that you're in control, even when life feels uncertain. You might not be able to control everything around you, but you can control how you show up every day. That's where real confidence comes from, not from outcomes but from ownership. One of the biggest traps is expecting results too soon. You'll build a new habit for a few days and think, nothing's changing. But everything is changing. You just can't see it yet. Habits grow underground before they show above the surface. Every small action plants roots. Keep watering them. The results will come in time, quietly but powerfully. Rebuilding from zero is not about speed, it's about direction. Even if you move slowly, you're still moving. Every right habit pulls you forward, 1 inch at a time. The old you wanted instant results. The new you understands that progress takes patience. You're not just chasing outcomes anymore, you're building a lifestyle that will last. You'll know your habits are working when life starts feeling more stable, when you wake up earlier without effort, when you automatically choose what's right over what's easy, when you don't have to force discipline, it becomes who you are. That's when you realize you've changed. Not because you said it, but because your actions prove it. Building habits that build you means you're creating systems for your future self. It's not about doing more, it's about doing what matters most, consistently. You're turning discipline into instinct. You're designing a version of yourself that doesn't depend on willpower because it's powered by purpose. That's how transformation becomes permanent. Every day is a new chance to add one small brick to the person you're becoming. Don't aim for perfection, aim for progress. The old you was destroyed because it couldn't handle chaos. The new you is being rebuilt with structure, peace, and purpose. Your habits are your blueprint. Follow them, protect them, and they'll take you exactly where you need to go. At the end of the day, habits are your silent allies. They don't ask for recognition. They don't need applause. They just work, quietly, every single day, until one morning you wake up and realize your entire life has changed. That's not luck. That's not motivation. That's the result of habits that build you, not break you. Chapter 5. Embrace the boring work. Everyone loves the idea of transformation, but few are willing to live through what it really takes. The truth is, change isn't glamorous. It's not loud or exciting. It's quiet, repetitive, and often painfully boring. Real progress doesn't happen in the moments that look great. It happens in the ones that no one talks about. The long nights, the lonely mornings, the endless repetition. That's where success is born. If you want to rebuild from zero, you must learn to embrace the boring work. The boring work is the foundation. It's the daily discipline that no one celebrates but everyone needs. It's writing when you don't feel inspired. It's showing up to train when you're tired. It's doing the same routine again and again until you master it. Most people quit here because they mistake boredom for failure. But boredom is not failure. It's the doorway to mastery. If you can stay consistent when it's boring, you're already stronger than most. The old you probably chased excitement. You wanted fast results, constant motivation, and visible rewards. But that's not how rebuilding works. The new you must learn to find peace in repetition. You must fall in love with the process, not the outcome. The world teaches you to crave stimulation, but growth happens in silence. While others are looking for shortcuts, you're quietly laying bricks. Think about anyone who's truly great at what they do. An athlete, a writer, a builder, a leader. Their success isn't built on motivation, it's built on routine. They've trained their minds to love the work even when it's dull. They know that every boring repetition adds another layer of skill. The people who master the boring things become unstoppable because they've developed endurance, the strength to keep going when others get distracted. When you rebuild your life, you'll notice how slow it feels. Some days, it will seem like nothing is changing. You'll wonder if your effort even matters. That's when most people stop. They think progress should feel exciting all the time. But growth doesn't announce itself, it builds quietly. Just because it's boring doesn't mean it's not working. The results are growing beneath the surface, waiting for the right time to show. The boring work is also where character is built, when no one is watching, when there's no applause, when it's just you and your effort. That's when you find out who you really are. It's easy to work hard when things are exciting. It's harder when no one notices, but the people who rebuild themselves from zero don't need an audience. Their reward is knowing they're becoming stronger every day, even when no one sees it. You have to rewire how you see boredom. Instead of running from it, sit with it. Let it teach you patience. Let it test your focus. The ability to stay calm and consistent during the boring moments is what separates the disciplined from the distracted. Because while everyone else is chasing quick results, you're building a foundation that will last a lifetime. When you embrace the boring work, you stop needing instant gratification. You stop searching for excitement in everything. You start creating fulfillment instead. The boring work might not feel good in the moment, but it gives you something deeper than pleasure. It gives you pride. When you go to sleep at night knowing you showed up, you feel peace. That peace is worth more than any temporary excitement. The reason so many people fail to rebuild is because they expect the process to feel dramatic. They think transformation should be intense and emotional every day. But it's not. Most of it is routine. Eating well, working hard, sleeping enough, repeating simple actions. It's not flashy, but it's powerful. The boring work keeps you grounded while your mind tries to pull you back into chaos. You'll face days when your progress feels invisible, when you repeat the same actions and see no change. That's when your old self whispers, "What's the point?" But that's also when your new self must whisper louder, "Keep going," because the boring work always pays off. It just takes longer than you think. The moment you stop needing fast results is the moment you start making real ones. The boring work is not punishment, it's protection. It keeps you steady when emotions swing. It keeps your focus sharp when distractions rise. It keeps your confidence alive when progress is slow. It's the glue that holds your new self together. Every boring action is a promise kept to your future. When you start embracing boredom, you'll realize it's actually peace in disguise. The same quiet that once felt uncomfortable becomes calming. You stop rushing. You stop comparing. You find rhythm in repetition. You start to see the beauty in small, consistent effort. Life becomes less about highs and lows and more about steady movement forward. That's how you build momentum that never fades. The boring work also teaches humility. You learn to respect time. You stop expecting life to hand you results you didn't earn. You stop chasing secrets and start trusting systems. The old you looked for magic. The new you understands that magic is just mastery built over time. Every expert you admire once struggled through the same boring work you're doing now. They just didn't stop. When you accept that boredom is part of success, you stop running from it. You stop needing constant motivation. You become self-sufficient. You realize that the same simple actions, done daily, create extraordinary results. There's no trick, no shortcut, no secret formula, just repetition, consistency, and time. That's the real alchemy of growth. Sometimes the boring work will feel lonely. You'll feel like no one notices your effort, like the world has moved on without you. But what you're building can't be rushed. You're rebuilding yourself from the ground up, and that takes patience. While others are showing off their highlights, you're developing real strength. You're not behind, you're in training. When you embrace the boring work, you also learn discipline on a deeper level. You stop fighting the process and start trusting it. You stop asking, "When will this pay off?" and start saying, "I'll keep going until it does." That's the mindset of people who win, not because they're lucky, but because they're relentless. The boring work becomes their secret weapon. You might not notice progress day to day, but one day you'll look back and realize how far you've come. You'll see how the quiet effort built unshakable confidence. You'll realize that all the small, boring things were actually big things in disguise. Every time you repeated the same action, you were carving discipline into your identity. The truth is, most people fail because they get bored before they get results. They quit too soon. They confuse slow with stuck. But slow is steady, and steady is progress. If you can master the art of staying consistent through the dull moments, you can achieve anything, because the boring work isn't the enemy, it's the path. Embrace it. Respect it. Do it even when it feels pointless, because it's never pointless. The small, repetitive, unseen effort you put in every day is shaping you in ways you can't see yet. The boring work is building patience, focus, strength, and character. It's preparing you for the moment when everything finally clicks. One day, people will look at your success and say, "You're so lucky." They won't see the hours, the silence, the repetition. They won't see the boring work that made you who you are. But you'll know. You'll know that every moment of boredom was worth it, because it built the person you've become. Embrace the boring work, because it's where the real transformation hides. The old you looked for excitement, the new you builds in silence, and when the results come, they'll be undeniable. Chapter 6. Become unrecognizable. The goal of rebuilding yourself isn't just to make small improvements, it's to become so different that even the old version of you wouldn't recognize who you've become. That's what true transformation is, not a slightly better version of your past self, but a completely new identity built from fire, effort, and truth. You're not here to polish the old version of you. You're here to destroy it completely and rebuild something stronger, wiser, and unstoppable. Becoming unrecognizable doesn't happen overnight. It's not about changing your looks or pretending to be someone else. It's about shifting your energy, your mindset, your habits, and your entire way of living. It's about walking into a room and people feeling that you've changed, not because of how you look, but because of how you carry yourself. It's the quiet confidence, the focus, the calm. That's when they realize you're not the same anymore. You'll know you're becoming unrecognizable when the things that once tempted you no longer do. The old distractions stop calling your name. The same people who once drained your energy no longer have power over you. The same situations that once made you anxious now feel beneath you. That's when you realize you've upgraded, not just your habits but your entire frequency. Becoming unrecognizable means outgrowing your past without hatred. You don't need to prove anyone wrong. You don't need revenge. You don't even need validation. You just need growth. You're not running away from your old life. You're walking toward a better one. The old you needed attention. The new you values peace. The old you chased acceptance. The new you creates purpose. There will be moments when people from your past try to pull you back. They'll notice your silence. They'll see your focus. Some won't understand it. They'll ask, "Why did you change?" They might even say, "You've changed too much." Take that as a compliment, because that's exactly the point. You weren't meant to stay the same. If you're still recognizable to the person you were a year ago, you haven't grown enough. Becoming unrecognizable requires sacrifice. You'll lose things and people along the way. Some will drift away as you evolve. They won't see your vision, and that's okay. Not everyone is supposed to understand your transformation. You're not changing for them. You're changing for you. Let go with grace. Every person and every habit that leaves your life is making space for something better. The hardest part of transformation is the middle. It's when you've outgrown your old self, but haven't yet stepped fully into your new one. You feel in between, like you're not who you were, but not yet who you're becoming. That's the most uncomfortable part of the journey, and it's also the most powerful. This in-between stage is where you build the foundation of your future. Don't rush it. Sit in it. Grow in it. Becoming unrecognizable means developing emotional strength. You stop reacting to everything. You learn to choose silence instead of arguments. You protect your energy instead of trying to prove your point. The old you needed to be understood. The new you just needs peace. That's evolution. It's when you realize that not every battle deserves your effort. You save your energy for the things that actually move you forward. You'll also notice how your environment starts to change. Your space becomes cleaner. Your thoughts become quieter. You start spending time with people who inspire you instead of drain you. You start taking care of your body, your mind, your time. The way you speak changes. The way you think changes. Even your goals change. That's what it means to rebuild. You no longer fit in the old rooms because you're meant for new ones. At some point, the people who once doubted you will notice. They'll see your growth and wonder how you did it. They'll ask for your secret. But the truth is, there is no secret. It was all the quiet effort. The late nights, the discipline, the boring work, the small daily choices no one saw. You didn't just rebuild. You reinvented yourself one small decision at a time. Becoming unrecognizable doesn't mean becoming perfect. It means becoming real. You stop pretending to have it all figured out. You stop chasing fake happiness. You start being honest with yourself, with your life, with your journey. You accept your flaws, but you don't live in them. You face your pain, but you don't drown in it. You learn. You grow. You keep moving. There's a beauty in letting the old version of you die. It's not sad, it's sacred. You're not losing yourself. You're shedding layers that never belonged to you. The people pleaser, the procrastinator, the doubter. They've all served their time. They taught you lessons. Now they can rest. The new you doesn't need them. The new you walks lighter, stronger, freer. When you rebuild yourself, your priorities shift. You stop needing to explain your silence. You stop defending your decisions. You stop apologizing for wanting more. You begin to live with quiet confidence. You're no longer desperate to be understood, because you finally understand yourself. That's power. The kind that can't be bought, taught, or faked. Becoming unrecognizable means living with alignment. Your words match your actions. Your goals match your habits. Your dreams match your effort. There's no longer a gap between who you say you are and what you actually do. That alignment gives you peace. You wake up proud of yourself, not because life is perfect, but because you're consistent. You'll also learn that confidence isn't loud. It's calm. It's walking into a room and not needing to prove anything. It's speaking less and doing more. It's knowing that your energy speaks louder than your words. The old you needed attention. The new you commands respect through presence alone. That's what happens when you rebuild. You glow differently. You might not see the change day by day, but one morning, you'll wake up and realize you don't think like you used to. You don't react like you used to. You don't crave what you used to. You'll look around and realize your life feels lighter. That's when you'll smile and think, I did it. Not because you've arrived, but because you've evolved. You've become unrecognizable, not to others, but to your old self. Every day you show up. Every day you keep going. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, you're creating distance between who you were and who you're becoming. That distance is your proof. You don't need validation anymore. You don't need motivation anymore. You're past that. You're in transformation mode now. Quiet, focused, unstoppable. When people from your past say, you've changed, thank them. They're right. You've changed your habits, your mindset, your standards, your life. You've changed because you finally chose yourself. That's not arrogance. That's self-respect. You didn't destroy the old you out of hate. You destroyed it out of love for the person you were meant to become. Becoming unrecognizable is the ultimate act of self-love. It's refusing to let the old version of you keep holding the pen. It's taking back control of your story and rewriting it with purpose. You stop surviving and start creating. You stop existing and start living, and in doing so, you inspire others, not through words but through example. The world doesn't need another loud voice. It needs more people who rebuild quietly and lead by action. The new you doesn't seek attention. The new you builds momentum. You've destroyed your past, rebuilt from zero, and now you're walking into a future that looks nothing like what you left behind. That's power. That's freedom. That's becoming unrecognizable. You're not meant to blend in anymore. You're meant to stand out, not through noise, but through growth. Keep evolving until your old self can't find you. Keep rebuilding until you look around and realize that the life you're living is something you once only dreamed about. That's when you'll know you didn't just rebuild from zero, you became someone completely new. Chapter 7. Protect your energy. When you start rebuilding yourself, one of the first things you'll notice is how much your energy matters. Energy is not just about how tired or awake you feel. It's the invisible force that shapes your mood, your focus, and your entire direction in life. Every thought you think, every person you talk to, every environment you stay in, it all affects your energy. The stronger your energy, the clearer your path becomes. But if you let everyone and everything drain you, you'll keep wondering why you feel stuck. That's why protecting your energy isn't selfish, it's survival. You used to give your energy to everything. Every conversation, every argument, every distraction. You didn't realize that your focus was being stolen, little by little. Now that you're rebuilding, you have to become more careful. Your energy is your most valuable currency. Spend it wisely. Not everyone deserves your attention. Not every situation deserves your reaction. The new you understands that silence is power, and peace is priority. Protecting your energy starts with awareness. You have to notice what drains you and what fuels you. Pay attention to how you feel after spending time with certain people or doing certain things. Some people leave you feeling inspired. Others leave you feeling heavy. Some environments make you productive. Others make you lazy. Energy doesn't lie. Your feelings are signals. Listen to them. The more you honor those signals, the easier it becomes to stay balanced. You'll realize that not everyone who smiles at you means well. Some people will see your growth and feel uncomfortable. They'll try to pull you back, not because you've done anything wrong, but because your progress reminds them of their own stagnation. Don't take it personally. Their reaction has nothing to do with you. It's a reflection of them. Protect your energy by walking away from people who only take, never give, and never grow. You don't have to explain your distance. You don't owe anyone access to your peace. The old you used to feel guilty for saying no. The new you understands that every yes to others is a no to yourself. If it costs your energy, setting boundaries doesn't make you cold. It makes you clear. You're no longer available for chaos, drama, or fake connections. You've worked too hard to rebuild your peace to hand it away for free. Sometimes protecting your energy means staying silent. You don't need to respond to every opinion. You don't need to argue to prove your point. Silence is a form of strength. It's the space where clarity grows. The old you used to react to everything. The new you chooses calm. You understand that not every battle is worth fighting, and not every voice deserves an answer. You win more by staying grounded than by trying to be right. Your energy also depends on what you consume. Not just food, but information. What you read, what you watch, what you listen to, it all shapes your mindset. If you fill your mind with negativity, gossip, and noise, your energy will match it. But if you feed your mind with knowledge, positivity, and silence, you'll rise above the chaos. Be mindful of what enters your mind. It's sacred space. Protecting your energy also means protecting your time. Time and energy are connected. You can't waste one without losing the other. The more intentional you become with your time, the more powerful your energy grows. Spend your days on things that move you closer to your goal. Don't waste them proving yourself to people who don't care. You don't need to convince anyone of your worth. You just need to live it. When you protect your energy, you start noticing peace where there used to be noise. You stop rushing to reply. You stop explaining yourself. You stop chasing validation. You learn to be okay with being misunderstood. You learn that peace is more valuable than popularity. The less you explain, the more powerful your presence becomes. Your energy will also guide you toward people who match your frequency. The ones who bring calm instead of chaos. The ones who support your silence instead of trying to fill it. As you grow, your circle gets smaller but stronger. You'll realize that you don't need a crowd, you just need alignment. A few real people who understand your vision are worth more than 1,000 who don't. There's something powerful about protecting your energy. It gives you back control. When you stop letting the world drain you, you become unstoppable. You have focus, direction, and clarity. You no longer wake up tired from battles that don't matter. You stop pouring into people who only take. You stop letting small things steal big parts of your peace. That's real strength. The ability to stay calm in a world that tries to distract you. Sometimes protecting your energy will mean being alone, and that's okay. Solitude isn't loneliness, it's power. When you spend time alone, you recharge. You reconnect with your thoughts. You learn what your soul actually wants. The more time you spend with yourself, the less approval you need from others. You stop performing and start living. You stop pretending and start healing. Your peace will confuse people who are used to chaos. They'll try to stir your emotions. They'll test your patience. Don't fall for it. Stay calm. Remember, reacting gives away your power. The strongest person in the room is not the loudest. It's the one who stays centered no matter what's happening. Protecting your energy means refusing to let anyone control your emotions. When you protect your energy, you start glowing differently. People will notice you're calm. They'll sense your focus. They'll wonder what changed. They won't realize that you simply stopped giving your power away. You started saying no. You started walking away. You started choosing peace. That's when everything shifts. Not just around you, but inside you. Protecting your energy also means protecting your dreams. Not everyone deserves to know your plans. Keep some things private. The more you talk, the more room you give others to doubt you. Silence protects your vision. Let your results speak for you. People can't ruin what they don't know. The less they know, the stronger your energy stays. You'll find that as your energy grows, your life starts aligning naturally. The right people, opportunities, and experiences find their way to you. You don't have to chase them, they match your energy. That's why protecting it matters so much. When you're drained, you attract chaos. When you're centered, you attract peace. The universe mirrors your energy back to you every single day. Protecting your energy is not about isolation. It's about balance. It's about knowing when to give and when to step back. It's about learning that you can't pour from an empty cup. You must take care of yourself first. Mentally, emotionally, spiritually. That's not selfish. That's necessary. The more you protect your energy, the more power you have to create, grow, and help others. There will always be people who misunderstand your calm as arrogance. Let them. You're not responsible for how others interpret your peace. You're responsible for protecting it. You've worked too hard to rebuild yourself from zero to let noise pull you back. Stay grounded. Stay focused. Stay true to the path you're walking. Protecting your energy doesn't mean you'll never face chaos again. It means you'll handle it differently. You'll stop letting temporary emotions create permanent damage. You'll stop fighting for attention and start protecting your direction. You'll stop being reactive and start being intentional. That's how you know you've grown. One day you'll look around and realize your peace is your greatest success. You'll notice that the same things that once triggered you no longer matter. You'll see that your calm scares the ones who still live in chaos. You'll smile quietly, knowing you've leveled up, not through noise but through control. That's what rebuilding gives you, the strength to stay centered when the world spins fast. Protect your energy like your life depends on it, because it does. Your energy shapes your thoughts, your habits, your future. Guard it, nurture it, and feed it with peace. You've destroyed the old you, the one who gave away power too easily. The new you protects it fiercely, and because of that, you'll keep rising quietly but powerfully, one peaceful step at a time. Chapter 8. Learn to detach. There comes a moment in everyone's journey when you realize that holding on is hurting you more than letting go. That's when you learn the quiet art of detachment. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop clinging. It means you choose peace over control, clarity over chaos, and growth over comfort. You begin to understand that not everything and everyone is meant to stay, and that's okay. When you destroy the old version of yourself, you have to detach from the things that built it. The old habits, the constant overthinking, the need for approval, the people who only showed up when it was easy. You start seeing life differently. You no longer chase what doesn't align. You stop trying to force what doesn't flow. That's detachment. It's freedom disguised as discipline. The truth is, most of our pain comes from attachment. We get attached to outcomes, to timelines, to how we think life should go. We get attached to people who were only meant to teach us lessons. We hold on to memories that no longer serve us. We keep replaying what went wrong, hoping we could change it. But holding on keeps you stuck in the past. Detachment sets you free. It allows you to breathe again. When you learn to detach, you take your power back. You stop letting outside things control your emotions. You stop depending on others to make you feel complete. You stop expecting everything to go your way. Instead, you start flowing with life. You accept what is without forcing what isn't. That doesn't mean you stop trying. It means you stop suffering when things don't go as planned. Detachment is hard because the old you was built on attachment. You used to need constant validation. You needed people to like you, to understand you, to choose you. You needed things to happen quickly. You believed happiness came from control. But control is an illusion. You can't control people. You can't control outcomes. You can only control yourself, your reactions, your energy, your focus. The sooner you accept that, the lighter life feels. You'll start noticing how much of your stress came from trying to hold on too tight. The moment you loosen your grip, peace rushes in. You stop fighting what's already over. You stop begging for things that aren't meant for you. You stop chasing closure from people who don't care enough to give it. That's when you realize that letting go isn't weakness, it's wisdom. You no longer need to understand everything. You just trust that what's meant for you will stay, and what's not will fade away. Detachment doesn't mean you stop loving. It means you start loving without losing yourself. It means you care deeply but stay balanced. You can love people and still let them go if they disturb your peace. You can want success but not let failure break your spirit. You can have dreams but not tie your worth to their timeline. That's emotional maturity. The ability to stay centered no matter what happens around you. When you start practicing detachment, the world looks different. You stop reacting to small things. You stop explaining yourself to people who don't listen. You stop overthinking every outcome. You learn to observe more and absorb less. You begin to enjoy moments without needing to control them. That's what real freedom feels like. Not the absence of problems, but the absence of emotional chaos. Detachment is also about trusting the process. When you rebuild from zero, everything feels uncertain. You don't know how things will work out. You don't know when results will show. But that's the beauty of rebuilding. You're learning to live without guarantees. You're learning to trust yourself more than your circumstances. Detachment gives you patience. It reminds you that your timing isn't always the right timing, and that's okay. There will be times when your mind tries to pull you back into attachment. It will tell you to check your phone again, to stalk the past, to replay old conversations, to worry about what others think. But you'll learn to pause, breathe, and let go. You'll remind yourself, I don't need to control this. That single thought is powerful. It breaks the chain of anxiety and brings you back to peace. Learning to detach also means accepting people for who they are, not who you wish they were. The old you tried to fix everyone. You wanted to be understood by everyone, but you can't heal people who don't want to change. You can't make someone see your worth if they're blind to it, and you shouldn't shrink yourself to fit into their version of love. Detachment means walking away with grace instead of resentment. You'll notice that as you detach, your focus improves. You stop wasting energy on what's out of your control. You pour it into yourself, your goals, your growth. You stop waiting for apologies and start building peace. You stop chasing closure and start creating clarity. You start living for today instead of reliving yesterday. That's when everything begins to shift in your favor. The old you believed peace came after fixing everything. The new you knows peace comes from accepting what you can't fix. Detachment doesn't make you cold, it makes you calm. You still feel deeply, but you no longer drown in your emotions. You start to see life as a series of lessons, not losses. You start to see endings as redirection, not rejection. Every door that closes guides you closer to where you're meant to be. Sometimes detachment looks like saying nothing and walking away. It's not about proving your worth anymore. It's about protecting your energy. You'll stop chasing explanations from people who already showed you who they are. You'll stop needing closure, because your peace becomes closure. You'll stop needing validation, because your growth becomes proof. That's power. The kind that comes quietly and stays forever. Learning to detach also means learning to surrender. You can't rebuild if you're holding on to what broke you. You have to let go of what's heavy. The relationships, the expectations, the old identity, all of it. You can't climb higher while carrying everything you were supposed to release. The moment you let go, life starts moving again. You feel lighter, freer, stronger. There's a difference between giving up and letting go. Giving up is rooted in fear. Letting go is rooted in faith. Faith that life has better plans than the ones you're forcing. Faith that everything happens when it's supposed to. Detachment teaches you that you stop chasing outcomes and start trusting timing. You stop fighting endings and start appreciating beginnings. You stop forcing and start flowing. You'll realize that detachment doesn't mean isolation. It's not about pushing people away. It's about protecting your peace. It's choosing connections that add to your growth, not drain your soul. It's staying grounded even when emotions run high. It's staying kind even when you're disappointed. That balance takes strength, but it's the kind of strength that rebuilds your spirit. One of the most powerful moments in your journey will be when you realize you can care and still let go. You can love and still walk away. You can hope and still release control. That's emotional freedom. That's growth. That's detachment. When you reach that point, you'll feel lighter than you've ever felt because you're no longer tied to what's trying to sink you. You'll also start to appreciate stillness. The silence that once felt uncomfortable now feels peaceful. You don't rush to fill it. You don't chase distractions. You sit in it and breathe, because in that silence, you reconnect with yourself. You realize that you don't need constant noise to feel alive. You just need presence. That's what detachment gives you. The ability to live fully in the moment. One day, you'll look back and thank yourself for letting go. You'll see that the things you thought you needed were only blocking what was meant for you. You'll realize that nothing you lost was truly yours, and everything meant for you found its way in time. You'll smile quietly, knowing that detachment wasn't the end. It was the beginning. The beginning of a calmer, stronger, wiser version of you. Detachment is not about indifference. It's about inner peace. It's not about walking away from everything. It's about walking toward balance. It's not about losing emotions. It's about mastering them. You still care. You still love. You still try. But you don't break yourself in the process anymore. You rebuild. You grow. You rise. You've destroyed the old you, the one who needed control to feel safe. Now you're rebuilding from zero, with freedom as your foundation. You've learned that peace is not found in holding on. It's found in letting go, and when you finally master detachment, you'll realize that you never lost anything important. You just made space for what's real. Chapter 9. The Power of Silence. There's a moment in your journey when you stop needing to speak, when you stop explaining, defending, or proving anything to anyone. That's when you discover the true power of silence. Silence isn't weakness. It's not emptiness. It's strength under control. It's peace that doesn't need to be loud. It's the calm that comes when you no longer need to be understood, because you finally understand yourself. The old you probably filled every silence with words. You explained your plans. You defended your feelings. You argued to be right. You needed people to see your point. But over time, you realized that talking doesn't always lead to understanding. Sometimes it just drains you. Silence, on the other hand, recharges you. It teaches you more than words ever could. When you rebuild from zero, silence becomes your greatest teacher. In the quiet, you hear your real thoughts. You see what you truly feel. You notice what matters and what doesn't. You stop running from yourself. You begin to listen to your heart, to your instincts, to the world around you. That's how you gain wisdom, not from noise, but from stillness. Silence is where healing happens. The noise of the world hides your pain, but the quiet helps you face it. When you sit in silence long enough, you start to understand your wounds instead of avoiding them. You stop distracting yourself and start dealing with yourself. It's uncomfortable at first, but that's where transformation begins. You can't rebuild a peaceful life if you're afraid of quiet moments. People fear silence because it forces them to face the truth. It reveals what's really going on inside, the doubts, the fears, the memories you've been avoiding. But once you sit with them, they lose their power. Silence helps you sort through the chaos inside your mind. You learn to separate your emotions from your identity. You stop being reactive and start being reflective. When you become comfortable with silence, your energy changes. You no longer rush to fill every space with noise. You don't need to talk all the time. You don't need to explain your every move. You start letting your actions speak for you. You realize that silence protects what words can ruin. It keeps your peace safe. It keeps your power intact. The power of silence also comes from not revealing everything. You don't have to announce your plans. You don't have to share every goal. The more you talk, the more you give others room to doubt, interfere, or judge. The strongest people move quietly. They build in silence. They heal in silence. They win in silence. Then one day, their results make the noise for them. When you stop oversharing, you take back control. You no longer seek validation through attention. You don't need people to agree with your dreams. You don't need approval to start something new. You trust yourself enough to move in silence. That's how true confidence looks. It doesn't shout. It simply acts. You stop announcing your moves and start making them. There's a certain peace that comes when you stop responding to everything. Not every opinion deserves your reply. Not every argument deserves your time. Silence becomes your shield. You realize that reacting to everything keeps you stuck in cycles that drain you. When you choose silence, you choose control. You no longer give your emotions to people who haven't earned them. Silence also strengthens your intuition. When your mind is quiet, your instincts speak louder. You begin to notice things you once ignored. The tone behind someone's words, the truth behind someone's smile, the difference between what's real and what's fake. You can't sense these things when you're drowning in noise. But in silence, everything becomes clear. When you practice silence, your relationships change too. You stop talking just to fill space. You start listening, really listening. You hear what people mean instead of just what they say. You begin to understand who values you and who just uses your energy. You learn that silence isn't distance, it's depth. It's choosing to connect through understanding, not constant talking. The world glorifies noise. Everyone wants to be seen, heard, noticed. But the truth is, the loudest person in the room is often the weakest. True power doesn't need attention. True power doesn't need validation. It's calm, it's quiet, it's focused. The people who achieve the most often say the least, because they're too busy doing the work. When you embrace silence, you become dangerous in the best way. People can't predict your next move. They can't manipulate your reactions. They can't drain your energy. You become untouchable because you've learned to control the one thing most people can't, their response. That's what silence gives you, mastery over yourself. There will be moments when silence feels uncomfortable, when people try to pull you into drama or arguments just to see you react. But don't give them that satisfaction. Stay calm. Stay grounded. Let them talk. Let them misunderstand you. The truth doesn't need defending. Time will reveal everything. Silence is your proof. You'll also find that silence brings creativity. When the noise fades, ideas rise. Inspiration doesn't come from chaos, it comes from calm. When your mind is clear, you start seeing possibilities that were always there. The answers you were searching for were never outside you. They were waiting in the quiet parts of your soul. Silence also helps you reconnect with gratitude. When you stop rushing, you start noticing the way sunlight hits your window, the sound of your breath, the small things you used to ignore. Silence slows you down enough to appreciate the life you're rebuilding. You realize that peace isn't found in having more, it's found in needing less. The old you was loud because you needed attention. The new you is silent because you found peace. You no longer explain your worth. You no longer beg to be seen. You simply live in a way that can't be ignored. That's the quiet confidence that silence gives you. You don't chase recognition, you attract respect. There will be people who mistake your silence for weakness. Let them. They don't understand that silence is discipline. It's self-control. It's power. You've learned that not everything deserves a reaction. Not every word needs a response, and not every situation needs your energy. Silence is your boundary, your filter, your protection. In a world that runs on noise, silence is rebellion. It's choosing yourself over distraction. It's walking away from chaos. It's finding calm in a storm. The stronger you grow, the quieter you become. You don't need to prove your progress. You don't need to post your pain. You don't need to speak to be powerful. You just move differently, think differently, live differently. Silence is not emptiness. It's full of answers. It's where you hear your soul whisper, "Keep going." It's where you learn that peace isn't found outside, it's built inside. The more you practice silence, the more powerful you become, because silence gives you something noise never can: clarity. One day, you'll look back and thank yourself for choosing quiet. You'll see how many problems disappeared when you stopped reacting. You'll realize how much strength you gained by saying less. You'll understand that silence didn't make you smaller. It made you stronger, because in silence, you found yourself again. So protect your peace. Move in silence. Let your actions speak. Let your presence make the noise. You've destroyed the old you, the one who needed to be heard. Now rebuild from zero with silence as your weapon, because when you master silence, you master yourself. And when you master yourself, no one can ever shake your peace again. Chapter 10. Heal without noise. Healing doesn't always look beautiful. It doesn't always feel inspiring. Sometimes it's slow, messy, and quiet. It's not about showing the world that you're getting better. It's about actually getting better. True healing happens in silence. It happens when you stop performing and start feeling. When you stop trying to look okay and finally allow yourself to not be okay. That's where real growth begins. The world tells you to move on fast, to stay busy, to distract yourself. But healing can't be rushed. You can't rebuild if you don't allow yourself to rest. You can't move forward if you don't take time to understand what broke you. Healing without noise means giving yourself the space to breathe, to reflect, to forgive. It means slowing down enough to hear your own soul again. There was a time when you tried to prove your strength by pretending you were fine. You smiled when you were breaking. You laughed when you wanted to cry. You kept pushing because you didn't want to seem weak. But pretending is exhausting. Healing begins when you stop pretending. When you finally say, "I'm hurting, but I'm trying." That honesty is where the pain begins to fade. Healing without noise also means not announcing every step of your recovery. The old you might have posted everything, shared every emotion, searched for comfort in attention. But the new you understands that healing is sacred. It's personal. You don't need an audience for your pain. You don't need validation for your process. You're allowed to heal quietly, privately, without explaining yourself to anyone. Sometimes silence is the only medicine that works. You don't need advice. You don't need noise. You just need stillness. The quiet moments, the long walks, the deep breaths, the nights when you sit alone and think, those are where you start to rebuild. Healing is not about forgetting the past. It's about making peace with it. It's about learning to live with your scars without letting them define you. You'll have days when it feels like nothing's changing, when the pain still lingers and the sadness still returns. That's normal. Healing isn't a straight line, it's waves. Some days you'll feel light, other days you'll sink again. Don't fight it. Every wave teaches you something new about yourself. Every time you rise again, you grow stronger. Healing takes time, and time takes patience. You don't owe anyone your timeline. You don't have to heal fast to make others comfortable. You don't have to smile just because people expect you to. This is your journey. Your wounds are yours to understand, not to justify. Healing quietly means respecting your own process. It means choosing peace over performance. You don't need to prove your recovery. You just need to live it. One of the hardest parts of healing is letting go of the idea that things could have been different. You'll replay moments in your head. You'll ask why. You'll wish you had seen the signs earlier. But none of that changes what happened. Acceptance is part of healing. It doesn't mean you approve of what happened. It means you stop letting it control you. You stop living in the past and start rebuilding the present. You'll notice how powerful peace feels once you stop chasing noise. When you stop explaining your pain, you give it less power. When you stop telling everyone your story, you start writing a new one. Healing without noise is not about hiding. It's about protecting. You're protecting your heart while it repairs itself. You're giving your emotions time to breathe before you show them to the world again. There's beauty in healing quietly. It's like watching a flower bloom in the dark. No one sees it, but it's growing anyway. You're growing even when no one claps. You're healing even when no one notices. You're building a new version of yourself, one small invisible step at a time, and that's enough. You don't need to be seen to be healing. You just need to keep going. Sometimes healing means doing nothing. Just resting, just breathing, just allowing yourself to exist without pressure. The old you might call that laziness, but it's not. It's restoration. You're not wasting time. You're rebuilding strength. You're learning to be okay in stillness. That's something the old you never knew how to do. As you heal, You'll start feeling peace in moments that used to bring pain. The song that once made you cry now makes you smile. The memory that once hurt now feels distant. That's how healing works. It's quiet and gradual. You won't always notice it happening, but one day you'll realize the things that used to break you don't control you anymore. That's when you'll know you've healed, even if you never talked about it. Healing without noise also means forgiving yourself. You've made mistakes. You've trusted the wrong people. You've stayed where you should have walked away. But you can't rebuild if you keep blaming yourself for the past. You did the best you could with what you knew then. Forgiveness doesn't erase the pain. It releases the weight. When you forgive yourself, you stop carrying what's already over. You'll find that as you heal, you crave peace more than attention. You start valuing quiet mornings over crowded nights. You choose self-respect over people-pleasing. You start protecting your peace like it's sacred. That's how healing changes you. It softens you without making you weak. You stop needing to prove your worth because you finally believe in it. Healing in silence also protects your energy. When you stop sharing everything, you stop allowing others to feed on your vulnerability. Not everyone deserves access to your pain. Some people listen just to gossip, not to help. The new you knows the difference. You share your story when it feels safe, not when it feels desperate. You're not hiding, you're healing with boundaries. There will be moments when you want to break your silence, when the weight feels too heavy, when the loneliness hits. It's okay to talk when you need to. Healing doesn't mean isolation. It means intentional expression. You talk to those who care, not to everyone who listens. You open up in safe spaces, not loud ones. You protect your growth by being selective with your words. Healing without noise also gives you clarity. The less you speak, the more you see. You start to understand who really cares, who truly listens, who's worth keeping in your life. Pain reveals truth. Silence reveals wisdom. Together, they shape you into someone stronger, wiser, and calmer than before. You don't return to who you were. You evolve into who you were meant to be. One day, you'll look back and see that the quiet phase was necessary. It wasn't punishment. It was preparation. It taught you patience. It gave you peace. It removed distractions. It allowed you to rebuild your strength in private. While everyone else was making noise, you were making progress. And when you step out again, your presence will speak louder than your words ever could. Healing doesn't have to be loud to be real. It doesn't have to be public to be powerful. The strongest healing happens in silence, in the moments no one sees, no one praises, no one records. That's where you truly grow. You're not healing to impress anyone. You're healing to free yourself. So take your time. Be gentle with your heart. Let yourself rest without guilt. You don't need to explain, post, or prove. You just need to breathe, because real healing doesn't scream. It whispers. It doesn't show off. It strengthens. It doesn't beg for attention. It builds peace. You've destroyed the old version of yourself that tried to look strong while breaking inside. Now you're rebuilding with truth, patience, and silence. You're healing without noise, and that's exactly why it's working. Because this time, it's not for the world, it's for you. Chapter 11. The Loneliness of Growth. No one tells you that growth will feel lonely. They talk about success, confidence, and transformation, but they rarely talk about what you lose along the way. They don't tell you that rebuilding yourself often means walking alone for a while, because growth doesn't just separate you from your past, it separates you from the people who still live there. When you start changing, your energy shifts. You stop wanting the same things. You stop entertaining the same conversations. You stop chasing the same distractions. And without realizing it, you begin to drift away from people who haven't decided to grow yet. It's not arrogance, it's evolution. You're not better than them. You're just different now. You're moving toward peace, while they're still chasing noise. At first it feels painful. You'll miss the old connections, the friends you laughed with, the comfort of familiar company. You'll feel the silence of your phone and wonder if you did something wrong, but you didn't. You're just entering a stage where peace feels better than company, where being alone feels lighter than pretending to fit in. This is the loneliness of growth, and it's one of the most powerful chapters of your journey. You'll notice that not everyone will understand your transformation. Some people will take your distance personally. They'll think you've changed, and they're right. You have. You've outgrown conversations that go nowhere. You've stopped chasing validation that drains your soul. You've started protecting your energy, and that scares people who were comfortable with your old self. But don't shrink back. The loneliness you feel now is a sign that you're moving in the right direction. Growth demands isolation. Not forever, but for a season. When you're rebuilding from zero, you need space. Space to think, space to breathe, space to become. You can't hear your own voice if you're surrounded by noise. You can't discover your purpose if you're always distracted by people who don't have one. Silence and solitude are where your strength grows roots. The loneliness of growth is not punishment, it's preparation. It's life pulling you away from what's comfortable so you can build something better. You'll have nights when you question everything, when the silence feels heavy and your thoughts get loud, but those moments are not the end. They're the turning point. You're shedding your old identity, and that process takes time and patience. Sometimes loneliness doesn't come from the absence of people, but from the lack of understanding. You can be surrounded by others and still feel unseen. Because the truth is, not everyone can understand the version of you that's still in progress. They knew the old you, the one who settled, the one who said yes too often, the one who ignored their own needs to make others comfortable. But this new version is focused, calm, and harder to reach. That's not isolation. That's protection. The loneliness of growth teaches you to rely on yourself. You start becoming your own friend, your own motivator, your own support system. You stop waiting for people to check on you because you learn to check on yourself. You stop expecting others to understand your path because you realize it's not their job, it's yours. The loneliness becomes strength when you realize you can walk alone and still move forward. This phase feels uncomfortable because you're no longer distracted. You have to sit with your own thoughts. You start noticing your habits, your flaws, your patterns. It's not easy to face yourself without escape, but it's necessary. Growth requires honesty, and honesty often starts in loneliness. The quiet forces you to confront what you've been avoiding. And once you do, you start to heal in ways you didn't know were possible. As you grow, your circle changes. The people you used to spend hours with now feel distant. The things you used to enjoy now feel meaningless. You crave depth, not noise. You crave peace, not attention. You begin to realize that solitude isn't empty. It's full of self-awareness. You start enjoying your own company, your own thoughts, your own rhythm. That's when loneliness turns into peace. It's okay to outgrow people. It doesn't mean you hate them. It means you're choosing to keep evolving, even when they choose to stay the same. You can love people and still move forward without them. You can wish them well and still walk your own path. The loneliness of growth isn't about separation. It's about alignment. You're aligning with who you're meant to become. One day, you'll look back and realize that the people who left your life weren't meant to stay. They were part of your old chapter. You don't have to chase them or explain your silence. You just have to trust that their absence created the space you needed for your next level. The loneliness that once felt painful will eventually feel peaceful. You'll realize that solitude didn't break you, it built you. In the quiet, you'll learn things you could never learn in the crowd. You'll learn that not everyone who starts with you will finish with you. You'll learn that growth requires sacrifice. You'll learn that peace costs people. But you'll also learn that the reward is worth it. Because when the loneliness fades, what replaces it is clarity. You begin to attract new people who match your energy, your vision, your truth. You find your tribe not by searching, but by evolving. The loneliness of growth also teaches gratitude. When you're alone, you begin to see how far you've come. You realize how strong you really are. You start appreciating your own resilience, your own courage, your own consistency. You stop waiting for applause and start giving yourself credit. You realize that you don't need to be surrounded to be supported. You've been carrying yourself this whole time. Growth is not meant to be comfortable. It stretches you. It isolates you. It humbles you. But it also prepares you for the life you're building. You can't rise while holding on to what's below. You can't fly while clinging to the ground. The loneliness of growth is simply the space between who you were and who you're becoming. Don't fear it. Embrace it. It's shaping you quietly. You'll start noticing peace in your solitude, the quiet mornings, the long walks, the nights spent reading or reflecting instead of chasing distraction. You'll realize that loneliness isn't always a void, it's an invitation. It's life saying, sit with yourself until you remember who you are. And when you finally do, you won't feel lonely anymore. You'll feel whole. When you stop fearing loneliness, you stop settling. You stop staying where you're not valued just to feel company. You stop begging for attention that doesn't feed your soul. You stop shrinking yourself to keep others close. You start choosing yourself even when it's quiet, because the truth is, loneliness doesn't kill you. Disconnection from yourself does. Once you reconnect with who you truly are, the silence becomes your friend. One day, you'll look around and realize that the loneliness was never empty. It was full of lessons, growth, and transformation. It was building your patience. It was strengthening your boundaries. It was preparing your heart for the people and experiences that match your new energy. You'll understand that loneliness wasn't a punishment, it was part of your becoming. Growth will always feel lonely before it feels peaceful. But once you cross that line, you'll never go back. You'll never again fear being alone, because you'll know that solitude is where power lives. You'll know that peace is your natural state, and you'll realize that the loneliness you once feared was actually the path that led you to freedom. So don't rush to fill the silence. Don't run back to what you've outgrown. Sit with yourself, trust the process. The loneliness of growth is temporary, but the strength it builds will stay forever. You've destroyed the old you. You've rebuilt from zero. Now, even when you walk alone, you walk in peace. Because you finally understand being alone and being lonely are not the same. You're not lonely anymore. You're becoming. Chapter 12, The New You. There comes a day when you wake up and realize you're not the same person anymore. The storm inside you is quiet. The noise in your mind is gone. You still have challenges, but they don't control you like before. You feel something you haven't felt in a long time. Clarity, strength, peace. That's when you know you've met the new you. The version you built from zero. The version that survived everything meant to destroy you. The new you doesn't rush. You move with calm confidence. You don't chase people or beg for attention. You've learned that what's meant for you will find you, and what's not will fade. You don't need to force anything anymore. The old you tried too hard to be liked, to be understood, to be chosen, but the new you simply exist as you are, and that's enough. You've stopped performing and started living. You used to let pain define you. You carried your past like a badge, reminding yourself of everything that went wrong. But the new you doesn't live there anymore. You've accepted that the past can't be changed. You've made peace with it. You've learned that pain was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to wake you up. Every heartbreak, every failure, every lonely night, it all led you here, to this peace, to this strength, to this quiet power. The new you has boundaries. You no longer say yes when your heart says no. You no longer shrink to make others comfortable. You no longer let guilt guide your choices. You've realized that protecting your peace is not selfish, it's necessary. You've learned that you can love people and still choose distance. You can care and still protect your space. The new you knows that peace is not found in everyone liking you, it's found in liking yourself. You've also learned the beauty of patience. The old you wanted everything fast. Success, love, results. You rushed. You forced. You overworked. But the new you trusts the timing of life. You understand that growth takes time. You don't chase shortcuts anymore. You've learned that slow progress is still progress. You've learned that consistency matters more than speed. You've learned that the best things come quietly, not suddenly. The new you is grateful. You no longer take small things for granted. The morning sun, a quiet walk, a deep breath, a simple smile. You see beauty in moments you used to overlook. You realize that happiness isn't hidden in big achievements. It's built in small, peaceful moments. You've stopped waiting for a perfect day to feel good. You create peace wherever you are. Gratitude has become your daily language. You've stopped explaining yourself. The old you needed to prove your worth to everyone. You needed to be understood. But the new you doesn't chase understanding anymore. You know who you are. You know what you bring. You know what you deserve. If people don't see it, that's fine. Their blindness no longer shakes your confidence. You've learned that silence protects what explanation destroys. The new you has learned the art of letting go. You've stopped holding on to people who let go of you. You've stopped replaying the past, stopped chasing closure, stopped trying to fix what's already gone. You've learned that endings aren't always losses. Sometimes they're beginnings. You've realized that letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It means freeing yourself. You can finally breathe again, because you're no longer carrying what isn't yours. The new you moves differently. You think before reacting. You pause before speaking. You choose peace over pride. You no longer let emotions control your decisions. You understand that not every battle is worth fighting. You've mastered the strength of calm. People might not understand it. They'll think you've changed, and they're right. You have. You've become wiser, lighter, quieter. You've stopped surviving and started living. You've also stopped waiting for people to save you. The old you waited for someone to understand your pain, to fix your heart, to make life easier. But the new you save yourself. You've learned that no one is coming to rescue you. And that's not sad, that's empowering. You are your own anchor now. You are your own home. You are your own reason to keep going. The strength you were searching for outside was always inside you. The new you understands balance. You know when to work and when to rest. You know when to speak and when to stay silent. You know when to give and when to walk away. You've learned that balance is the key to peace. You no longer live in extremes. You no longer burn out trying to prove something. You move with intention. Every action has purpose. Every choice aligns with your peace. You've stopped trying to fix others. You understand that everyone heals at their own pace. You don't chase people who aren't ready to grow. You don't beg anyone to see your value. You let people be who they are, and you stay who you are. The new you knows that peace isn't found in changing others. It's found in accepting them and choosing yourself anyway. The new you forgives more easily, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. You don't carry bitterness anymore. You've realized that holding grudges keeps you chained to pain. Forgiveness isn't weakness, it's release. It's choosing peace over poison. You let people go without hate. You let situations fade without regret. You understand that some things are meant to teach you, not stay with you. You've learned that being alone isn't scary, it's sacred. You used to fear solitude, thinking it meant emptiness, but now you see it as freedom. You enjoy your own company. You talk to yourself kindly. You sit in silence without feeling lonely. You've built a home within yourself that no one can take away. That's what true healing looks like. Peace that doesn't depend on anyone else. The new you no longer seeks approval. You used to shape yourself around other people's opinions. You wanted to fit in, to be liked. But now you've outgrown that. You've learned that being authentic is more powerful than being accepted. You're not afraid to walk alone anymore. You're not afraid to be misunderstood. You're not afraid to be different. Because the new you knows that peace lives in truth, not in pretending. You've also stopped fearing failure. The old you saw failure as the end. The new you sees it as feedback. You understand that mistakes are not proof of weakness. They're proof that you tried. You've learned to start again without shame. You've learned to see rejection as redirection. Every setback taught you something you couldn't learn any other way. And now you move with quiet confidence because you've already survived the worst. The new you doesn't just dream. You act. You no longer wait for perfect conditions. You no longer delay your goals until someday. You move now. You take small, consistent steps. You trust the process. You've learned that progress doesn't always look exciting. Sometimes it's just discipline, day after day. But that's what builds the life you want. The new you knows that real strength isn't loud, it's consistent. One day, you'll look back and hardly recognize the person you used to be. The one who doubted, begged, apologized too much, and settled for less. You'll feel proud, not because you became perfect, but because you became real. You faced your pain. You rebuilt from zero. You found peace without needing noise. You became your own home, your own safe space. The old you was built by survival. The new you is built by purpose. The old you reacted, the new you responds. The old you tried to please. The new you simply lives. You've walked through the fire and didn't just survive, you transformed. You didn't rebuild to prove anything. You rebuilt because you finally realized your worth. You didn't destroy the old you out of hate. You did it out of love. Love for the person you were meant to become. The new you doesn't chase peace anymore. You are peace. You don't seek love anymore. You radiate it. You don't search for happiness anymore. You carry it. You've become what you were looking for all along. Strong, calm, grounded. You've learned that life isn't about finding yourself. It's about creating yourself, and you've done it. Quietly, powerfully, completely. You've destroyed the old you. You've rebuilt from zero. And now the new you stands tall. Not loud, not desperate, but peaceful. You've learned that strength isn't found in how hard you fight. It's found in how gently you live. You are living proof that rebuilding is possible, that healing is real, that peace is worth it. So take a breath. Look how far you've come. You didn't just survive, you evolved. You didn't just rebuild, you transformed. And now, as you walk forward into the world, you carry everything you learned in silence, in strength, in peace. This is the new you.